I'm looking. I'm like, where am I looking? Okay, there you are. Oh. How's it
So,
going?
ooh, good. Fancy man with a standing desk.
I know it's I know. It feels so cool.
Dude, I gotta get me one of those. I cheaped out. I didn't get one. I should get one.
Oh no, it's honestly it's amazing. I had it for a long time. I had it at work because I just couldn't sit for much longer. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy myself a desk. And it's one of those where you just kind of put it on the desk and it just kind of raises.
Ah, yeah, yep. There's cheaper versions I've seen here. You just chuck them on. I'm tempted to get one because I spent most of my remote stipend. So
Right. Yeah, no, it's been great, honestly, just kind of, gives me a chance to dance while I'm doing my coding.
I love it.
So yeah, so how you been, man? It's been a while.
It has been a while. Yeah, things have been good. Yeah, we pretty much caught me at the start of when you were on markup, and now you've caught me 6 months in, and it's like fucking good. Well, I shouldn't swear on show, but yeah, it's really
That's
good.
right.
Been really, really enjoying. I'll just adjust this so you can get. There we go. Yeah,
That's
yeah. I'm
awesome.
on my work machine right now, so yeah.
You're in a
If
what? You're in
I've
a what?
muted it, I'm on my work machine right now, so I've muted everything, so it should be okay. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so just again, kind of give a perspective. Samurai
Mm.
here is a. Can you kind of give your explanation of who you are, what you do, and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. So I am a remote happiness engineer with Flywheel. So what that is happiness engineer is pretty much anyone that works in support to do with WordPress. It's a term coined by Automatic. So I'm a remote support happiness engineer. So as you can tell, I'm Australian. But so I work with about 10 other guys on my team. I'm one of just the other guys. I do a lot of the support work, and we all report to our American team as well. I've
Right.
got an Australian boss. We're all, a bunch of awesome dudes. Yeah,
That's
we
awesome.
love our job. Yeah, it's good work.
That's that's amazing. Yeah, and I remember we actually did a podcast together on your podcast. I think what,
Yes.
6 months ago?
Yeah, which is now off. Yeah, but yeah, that's how we first started. When we first started talking through Instagram, and
Right.
then I asked you to come on my show, and now it's full circle. Now I'm on your show.
I love how that works out. I'll be honest, like that like makes me so excited about, the Instagram community, just like in general, the community we have, the software development community we have around Instagram, around YouTube and so forth, just getting to meet, so many amazing people. You're in Australia. Like, I would not have been able to meet you in Australia if the only way would have been for me to directly go to Australia and
Pretty
somehow,
much.
you know,
It's
like,
funny. We have the same idea with the remote community with Flywheel. Like we've got people not just in Australia, but we've got remote support engineers in the US and all over Europe. And every 6 months, we all flock to our head office in Omaha for an all company retreat. And you see everyone like you felt like you've just seen them yesterday because we've all been interacting online. Yeah, you see them face to face, but we're all communal in one place. But yeah, it's the power of the internet, man. It's beautiful.
yeah, no, that's amazing. That's the power of, yeah, like you said, the power of the internet. I love it. So how is it? So you're in Australia. How is it in Australia?
Not bad. It's been warm at the minute. We're winding down summer right now, but it's
Mhm.
it's still warm. We had like a massive rainstorm where I am yesterday, which is weird for
What
summer.
what's it? What temperature you guys got there?
Well, I'm gonna give it to you in Celsius just because
I
it's
like Celsius.
easy.
I'm European. I'm European too.
Exactly. So, right now it says it's 24 degrees, which I don't know how accurate that is, which is
That's
not very
pretty
hot.
dang good.
Yeah, that's not that hot, but it is only 9:10 in the morning. So
Do you
it,
know do you know what weather we have here in Michigan?
I know you guys are doing a polar freeze right now, so I'm guessing it's a lot like Omaha, so it's like -5 degrees or something. I'm
Oh
guessing.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's been pretty bad. We had, I think the past week or so, we I think it went down to -30.
Shit, yeah,
Yeah, -30. So we were like, we were freezing our butts off here. I mean, obviously in our house and so on, but like you get the point. Like this freak, like I'm jealous of you. I'm not gonna lie. That's my point I'm trying to get to.
It was cold when we were in Omaha. I think the coldest it got to was -14, and we thought that was cold. And like, I don't mind the cold, but that was cold. And then when we left, it was like -20, polar storm, frozen cars. Like, yeah, no, it's not for me.
I'm like, I want to go back to Australia. I don't want to.
Yeah, take me back to the heat. I want beaches.
I gotcha. No, so a support engineer, like talk me through like what do you specifically do? Like, what does your day-to-day look like as a support engineer?
Sure. So, being remote, my day can vary. Depends on what I do. I do a lot of personal work at night, so I either spend a lot of time at night and wake up earlier in the morning, or if I go earlier at night, I'll get up early in the morning. Depends. Most of my morning is pop on, catch up on Slack, because we use Slack internally. I think everyone uses Slack internally. Catch up on that. Read anything that I need to read. And the Americans have put forward during the day, any urgent issues, any like product outages, not that we have product outages, but any hosting providers, changes to our Google Cloud platform, which is our new FCP, Flywheel Cloud platform,
really?
which is so we're in full migration mode to Flywheel Cloud, which is awesome. So I catch up on that, and then pretty much my day, I work 10 till 6 Australian time. So I start at about 5 p.m. Central. So I log on as everyone logs off, do a handoff and start up. The Australian team is fairly multifaceted. So we have, depends on what I'm doing that day. Like I could be doing like live chat. I could be doing triaging, so receiving tickets and sending them to their right homes. I could just be doing ticket work, just like hunkering down and just doing a lot of like nitty-gritty technical work, which is actually what I'm doing today, and just do that. I'll have lunch, drink 20,000 cups of coffee, and and then that's the day. That's putting a very light spin on it, but there's communication with the team on Slack. We'll have chats. Put funny things in the chat.
You say you do technical work. Like, what type of technical work you're talking about?
So it's more in terms of site maintenance. A lot of the sort of stuff that we do. We have multi-tiers in terms of the support experience. So I am not too high on the support ladder. There's like far more technical dudes that are like hosting operations and stuff. I'm not in that area. But like my day in, day out would be like solving site downs, fixing malicious plugins, fixing malfunctioning plugins that don't work or aren't working on the platform itself. There's a lot of things in terms of a lot of customers as well want us to do prepare. A big one currently is PHP performance checks, because 5.6 is being PHP 5.6 is being deprecated. So we've been on 7.1 and 0.2 and now 0.3.
What are you performance? Are you talking about that? Like
it's more plugin compatibility. So so it's like making sure that, like, let's say now you've got 10 sites and you've got about 15 plugins average, because you've been blueprinting each site, and you've got 4 of them that are still not compatible for 7.2 even, and you're still running on 5.6 on your instance. We do a check. We tell you who you may not be tech savvy, because you may have had someone build it for you. Say, hey, this is your plugin list. These 4 are incompatible. We recommend updating them. If they aren't updated for 5.6, if the plugin developer's probably not been proactive in terms of updating them. If they aren't mission critical, we can look at alternatives to be able to say, hey, maybe disable them for the time being, or reach out to your plugin developer and say, hey, this is an update. Can I update? Is it compatible for 7.2, etc.? They'll then come back to us and say, I spoke to the plugin developer. It is ready. Let's upgrade, and then we'll update your instance. And now you're running on the shiniest version of PHP. It's one of the many things to do. Yeah, one of the things we're doing a big push with at the minute, because obviously 7.2 is nice and shiny.
Yeah, like I haven't dealt too much with the plugin compatibility just yet. Like I even I don't know if I'm sure right, through my Instagram, I have been very much in the WordPress world for the past 6
Yes.
months or so. So it's been a very interesting transition going from, one-page applications of AngularJS to WordPress with
Yeah.
PHP, all this other stuff that you have to deal with. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, so it's been very interesting. And, like what we have tried to do on our side is one of my biggest goals, when developing the WordPress application has been to have the least amount of plugins as possible. Only have the basic plugins, that you need. A lot of people that I like, when we deprecated the old website, we had, I think, 15 or so plugins. Like it was crazy. We had so many plugins that were unneeded, unused, deprecated, that you just did,
Yeah.
it hammered, the amount of code that goes into that, and the amount of, potential interlinking between each plugin was just potentially crazy. So one of the things that we tried really hard to do is minimize those plugins, right? So you don't have to worry too much about the plugin compatibility, right? As you're saying.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Definitely.
so about like what do you see, in terms of people contacting you, right? So do you by yourself try to figure out like what plugins are not working, or do you just have people contacting you and asking you like, what what can I upgrade, what can I not upgrade, or do you kind of see it right there and then on your application, on your Flywheel?
It's both in terms of how it works. We do have a PHP compatibility checker that we can run in app that spits out a report for you. But a lot of the time, we do recommend to customers as well to use the local by Flywheel product if you aren't using it already. To download, to pull your site from Flywheel. Let's say you just got one site in this instance.
Right.
Pull that site from Flywheel, open it up in local, and then the local instance you're running of WordPress, upgrade it to 7.2, and then see what's going on. That's a lot more of a technical approach for a lot of our more tech-savvy customers, which they've been really appreciative of the workflow. Because once you edit everything local, you can literally just push a button and it's back up to Flywheel. We can update the instance for you to 7.2. Once you tell us to say go, you push the site to Flywheel, and then everything's all running. You've done your bug tests.
Right.
If you've got custom code running that's built around an old plugin that's got 5.6, let's say Rev Slider or something like that, you can update that again, and it's all ready to go. We also do get the usual, the messages, they'll come through the help desk scans, like, can I upgrade my site? And just out of curiosity, like we send emails out, we send notices, it's on the customer dashboard. It's like, we are now updating you, or we will update you soon, depends on when you've seen it. And they just ask the question, hey, can I upgrade? And the answer is yes, you can upgrade, but be mindful, we should do some checks first and foremost. Let's do some checks, and then we just do the necessary needful to be able to make sure their site is, humming 100% on the Flywheel end of things.
Right. No, that's very important. That's very important. Now, so you deal a lot with WordPress, and you deal a lot with people, asking you if you can upgrade, right? Or asking for support for WordPress. First question, like, what is your take on WordPress? What do you think of WordPress? I know you have been, I know you've been working with other, technologies as well. But what is your take on WordPress compared to some other things?
Like, I came from a Shopify. I spent 6 months as a part-time front end before I started with Flywheel as in a Shopify development scenario, and I did a lot of stuff outside of work as well for Shopify. And now we've dabbled, you and I have dabbled with React and stuff as well. But it's more, I liked WordPress in terms of what it can offer, in terms of it's the whole Android, iOS debate. Like, if you want a phone that's secure and works 100%, it can work that way. But if you want to tinker with it, sideload stuff to it, make it fully customizable, you can do that as well. And you do Android for that. For me, WordPress, especially, I didn't know any PHP or anything when I started in terms of code. So I've been teaching myself that as well, in conjunction with being a support engineer, or a support engineer. Which has been helpful understanding how sites work as well. So when you see, you've got a PHP fatal error at line 152 for this, you understand that, you know what that is. You can tell the customer what it is, and because we can help tell them how to fix it. Because if it's a code issue, we can't really fix their code. But you can tell them, hey, this is it, and then they can go and fix it. And then
You're like, listen, you missed the semicolon right there, okay?
Yes.
Or two brackets right there.
This function is not compatible anymore. Please change this function. Yeah, it's good. I like WordPress for what it offers. I moved my site to WordPress. My whole entire portfolio is now on WordPress. I think I moved it about 6 months ago now. And I haven't had any issues in terms of my experience because I've done a little bit of WordPress before I started with Flywheel from a blogging perspective. And even from a developer perspective, WordPress is very, very customizable. There are the usual headaches, like anything there is, like between Azure, Firebase, you want to host stuff on the cloud, serverless, whatever. Everything has a headache. Flywheel tries to mitigate those headaches for you, especially when it comes to being more tech savvy. But WordPress is WordPress at the end of the day. But
WordPress is WordPress.
You get a good host. Hopefully, most of those issues are deprecated in themselves anyway.
Right. That's one of the things, like one of the benefits that I see with WordPress, right? It's kind of like a built platform for you, right? So I think it's amazing for a couple of things. I think it's amazing, one, for SEO. That's one thing I've researched is that, a lot like Google, any search engine, right, doesn't really like one-page applications. They're not a big fan of the whole, what's it called, when you load a one page and simply some of the contents within the page, update, right? So if you want to have your website very much be SEO friendly, it is very recommended to be, to be one, either a static page, or in this case, basically WordPress, right? WordPress is basically just a static page, but it's got functionality behind it in terms of the server, right? So it's got server side, so it's like server side and client side at the same time, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I realized it's good at. It's good if you want a page that's very SEO friendly. And the other part that I realized it's good at is it's simply good at, the functionality behind it. Having a blogging thing about it, it's a blogging architecture, right? For you to build a blogging architecture where you have to, that's going to take a long time. Like to build a new blogging site for your site, if you want to blog and you're like, oh yeah, okay, so I got to create this, I got to create the front, I got to create the back end, I got to create the input. It's so much. So WordPress being able to be just like plug and play, where you just simply install and you right away see that you can right away start to create blogs and start to create content. That's amazing.
There's an arsenal of theme developers, plugin developers, hosting providers out there that can suit your needs. And even if you just want to be, it's mum and pop, I'll use Flywheel as an example here as well. But if you want to use spin up a mum and pop site because you're making cookies and you want to showcase the fact that you can buy cookies and then even eventually have a store on there as well, you can just get a basic plan from Flywheel, you just get a basic site and then you can host all that stuff on there. You don't have to build a thing or build a website. You can pay for a thing if you want something custom, or using a plethora of free themes that are available through WordPress natively. There's 20,000 plugins that do what you want. You pick the good ones, especially like what you said from SEO. Yoast SEO, everyone knows they do a really good job in terms of SEO performance. Editing things like, in terms of being a technical perspective, editing things like your robots.txt file specifically for your SEO experience, and then even adding your sitemaps as well. Incredibly easy with WordPress and obviously other hosting as well, but WordPress specifically. It's completely customizable. You want it to be easy, it's easy. You want it to be more hard, it can be hard and more technical if you want it to be.
It can definitely be more hard. That's one thing that's one thing I've gone into, because for our site that I'm currently working on, right? We took WordPress and we took the most basic template, right? So there were two decisions. There was one decision, okay, we can go with something like we can buy a template and we can use the template, right? And we can host it and and that's our website. Yeah. But we did that before and it didn't work out for us very well.
Yeah.
The reason why it didn't work out for us, Rael, is because, sometimes you have, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you have sometimes non very technical, like marketing, right? So sometimes they're not very technical, right? And they'll go in and they'll start changing crap. They'll start changing the tags. And the next thing you know, it is literally like
Your style sheet's broken
it's
and it's a Web 1.0 site.
it's a way. Yes,
Yeah.
it becomes a mess. Like
Yeah.
we had, our HTML that we had. It was actually funny. We had at one point we had a JavaScript error that was an
Yeah.
infinite loop on the page.
Yeah.
It was an infinite loop. So basically, if you were to load our page, not only will it look not the best, but it will hamper your computer. Your computer will start to your computer will start to work like crap.
Just customer complaints. My computer's melted. Go on your website. Yeah, that would be the infinite loop.
Like, so yeah, it was just really funny, and we kind of at that point we decided, okay, there needs to be a limit. If you're building something that's big, if you're building something that's going to be used for a long time, you need to have a good foundation.
Yep.
And you need to be a little bit more controllable, because the second it starts to get out of hand is the second that you're going to start to have those infinite loops. You're going to start to have those HTML tags that don't close.
Yeah,
Like there was,
definitely.
you know what I mean? So that's
That
so,
whole philosophy though applies to any static site generator though. You
yeah,
can do this with Squarespace, you can do it with Shopify, with WordPress. You can buy the theme, you can cope with what the theme developer's done, and you can just sit on it. And if they make changes, you're at the mercy of the developer. Or
exactly.
you can put a little bit more effort in, figure out how it all works, and then make something your own that's custom and you control. And especially using something like local, which is what I've been using to do a lot of local development specifically, pun intended. Like it's just immensely helpful. It's immensely helpful, especially when you don't have to like cope with, I did development stuff on the plane with local, but I built it all custom or learning to build it custom rather than doing with a theme. Like my current portfolio is built off a paid for theme, which I copped with. I've got my own style sheet in there as well, doing what I want. And I'm at the mercy of I'm in my own boat. I'm my worst enemy in this case. I am at the mercy of the theme developer who's changing things every now and then and that sort of thing. But now I'm building something else, since, you are limited by your own imagination to the creativity that you can do on your own custom stuff with WordPress. It's great.
Right. Yeah, no, like one good approach that I found out, it's actually, I'm building another site right now. It's another site for another project that I'm working on.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to get to is, so I don't know if you know underscore. So underscore. So underscore is a very basic theme. It is it's a template, but it was actually created by WordPress, which is really interesting enough.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you have your themes that you can buy, right? And you can buy or you can use for free. But this theme, what it is the most basic theme that you can possibly have. What it does is it sets a foundation. So it puts in like the style sheet, it puts in all the right pages, like the front page.php, 404.php, 505.php, index.php, all those are in there. Along with template parts, along with a lot of inclusion folders. So it creates this basic structure for your site.
It's your skeleton theme, so you can just customize everything from this, but you don't have to worry about the core architecture of the WordPress or the core PHP files, because all that's done for you, and everything else you can just customize, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the best part, is that it is very basic. It's very basic, and you don't have to try to tinker and figure out what the hell is he doing here. When you're kind of looking at the code of someone else, right? Someone else who's created the theme, you're gonna be used a lot. Like I've tried to look at theme files, and I was like, nope, screw it, I'm moving. Like that's literally what it's funny, because I was thinking, okay, maybe I will fix up the old site, that I was working on. I'll fix up the old site. I open up the site, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
It's the whole philosophy of like, you've got a leaking house, and how long do you want to be where you're constantly patching 20,000 holes in the roof to when you want to move, and then you have a house that doesn't need continuous like handyman work all the time.
Sometimes you just need to sometimes you just need to get rid of the house and build a new foundation.
Pretty much.
So yeah, it's been very interesting to see, and to understand about WordPress, in that if you really need something that's going to have a good foundation, is going to be used for a long time, again, that that bottom layer so important that I found out, and trying to use like what we actually got together is we used a theme from Bootstrap. So we took
Yep.
a theme from Bootstrap, and then
Mhm.
we used the underscore theme from WordPress, right?
Yep.
And we put those two things together.
Yep.
We
Which
removed.
a lot of people to just probably to compliment in terms of that as well. A lot of people are fairly cynical in terms of how Bootstrap and WordPress can work together. Even things like SAS and WordPress can work together. And if you're
Right,
prepared to put in the hard yards, it can all mesh and work really well. My
right.
personal preference is for SAS, so I have SAS running on my theme. Finally, I actually had a lot of issues getting it running, and I finally got it running.
Nice.
But even if you want to utilize Bootstrap specifically with the WordPress theme, and that's it, and just use vanilla CSS, but have a framework there to go, Bootstrap works really well with
Yeah.
WordPress as a whole.
Oh yeah, it works amazing. Yeah, we've had no problems whatsoever with it. You know, you can customize it. You can, and like for instance, like a lot of Bootstrap themes you can download, right? So
Yep.
we downloaded. We actually bought a Bootstrap theme that was developed by Bootstrap themselves. They have like their own custom. Yeah. So if you go to Bootstrap and you search up themes, they
Yep.
actually have themes that are supported by them, which is really cool.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, which is really cool because then you know that's quality. Like you know it's quality work. You know,
Yeah.
and that's very important. And so with that, we were just able, like literally that Bootstrap theme had all the SAS files, right? It wasn't just a CSS file. It had all the SAS files very nicely laid out in all the folders. This folder related to this folder related to variables, and so forth. And you just kind of import it, and voila, you know. So yeah, it was a very good learning opportunity, and a very good very happy that we got to kind of start it from scratch, you know,
Yeah.
not the usual way, not the usual way.
And you listen to a lot of technical podcasts, especially with like in terms of the web experience, putting the whole app thing aside. A lot of folks may or may not get the luxury if you are just an engineer on a larger, even just a development engineer, not a support engineer. But if
Right.
you're sitting there and you've been told you've got to make a lot of micro changes to your existing site, and your existing site has, or even the client site has a lot of problems, and you could change all of these if you had the time to make something custom. But a lot of the folks don't want to go ahead and actually change and put in the time to be able to make something custom, which is a downfall. But also from a financial perspective, can you afford the time it takes to halve your team and have, you know, team A building something custom while team B, you know, keeps the water running on the existing
Right.
site? Which is, I can understand that. Like you and I have a unique perspective where we can just do stuff on our own time, and we have the luxury of, you know, unlimited budget, I guess, in terms of, well, we have our day jobs, we have our other stuff we do. We don't have you know, deadlines, whereas, you know, others who aren't as lucky get hampered by that. And like I can see why it's a problem, but also there's also a learning experience coming from, you know,
Yeah.
patching the roof in the existing WordPress site
Yeah.
that may not be functioning 100%.
Yeah. That's a good point you make. You know, being able to know, because not all the time do you get the luxury of building something from the ground up, right? Sometimes you do have to know how to take something and be like, oh crap, this is no good, no bueno, and then you turn it into something amazing, you know, and then, you know, you clean it up, you make it, you know, you make it a good architecture, right? And as you keep going, you know, you patch things up. So yeah, I agree with you. It's also very important to know how to do that as well, on top of,
Definitely.
you know, being able to build a good foundation when you need to, right?
Yes, definitely. You learn a lot of good troubleshooting skills with that as well. And like that's, I create a lot of my WordPress development, like in terms of my side study, what I'm doing outside of work, to Flywheel in a lot of that sense. So when you like, and even the whole egotistical developer thing where I don't need Google to understand, you know, errors or Google errors. No one is a walking encyclopedia of knowledge. And just being able to go on even Google and say, okay, so I have a PHP fatal error to do with
Right.
X plugin, and then
Right.
you go through a deep dive, then you realize, you know, X plugin is having these issues, and they put a tweet out, and it's like, oh, we are fixing this problem. We see what it is. We will be ready for PHP 7.2, or whatever it is, like that whole troubleshooting experience, like seeing it on customers' sides first, that I'm not having a hand in building, but I'm helping fix on the server side.
Yeah.
And then taking that into my own study has been incredibly worthwhile for me.
Right. You get to learn a lot. Like just you have so many because you have so many different problems that can come up, right? And and it's what it teaches, like a lot. It teaches you problem solving, right? That's one of the biggest things in software development that we have to do, right?
Yes.
Is problem solve, right? When you have a problem, to solve it, right? You have to solve it, right? The problem is, okay, I need to achieve this goal, or I need to create a website that's that's gonna do this, right? That's just a problem in itself. But then there's other problems. Okay, something just come up, nothing's working, the website is down. What do I do? Right? That's a whole other problem.
Well, I'm a software engineer. I only built the site. I don't troubleshoot the site. Yeah, no, that's not a part of your job description. You are everything when you're building your product.
Yeah, you have to be able to troubleshoot the things and see it. And even if you don't right away know what it is, right, it's very important to know what steps to take to try and solve it, right? So I agree with you. And it's amazing that you get to learn so much through so many different examples, through your job, right?
Yeah.
I
see dozens and dozens and dozens of sites in a day, and they vary in quality and development design from basic to way more advanced over my head. And just though, like, I have a bookmark for some of the tickets that I've done where the sites are really intricate and advanced, but they're interesting errors that you want to come back to. Like, why is this plugin, or in what people who aren't familiar with WordPress understand with the terms of a cron job, why is this cron firing 20,000 times in X amount of time? How can we change that? Why is it doing it? Why is this plugin requiring all this memory? These sorts of things. I just have this little list which I've developed and curated over time for, like, oh, my site's broken. My slider plugin is firing 20,000 times. I know how to fix that because I have fixed it before.
You must be like a professional at being able to know, okay, you got a problem with WordPress? I got you.
I wish. I'm still on the whole, like, scouring through Slack and our ticketing system just to be able to find other people's answers. That's a part of the experience. Like, it's not, it's being humble in understanding that no one knows everything. Like I said, no one's a walking encyclopedia of knowledge. And, especially one thing I love about my team is everyone leans on each other. And that we all do as a whole at Flywheel, but especially the Australian team. Everyone's got each other's back. And if you have a technical issue, odds are someone's there who's dealt with it, and they can, if they don't know it themselves, but they have fixed something like it, here is that ticket link. Read the answer, fix it, done.
Right. I'm curious, because I know that, again, a lot of people can, could have issues with WordPress. Like, what are some issues that you guys see are very popular, through WordPress? Which ones do you see that maybe people need to think about when creating a WordPress site of some sort? Like, what do you see is a big deal?
Performance is a big one. Like you said, like running 15 plugins and having, 8 of them out of date, and you're just not, even if you are using the mum and pup example, even if you do have a teeny site, or like if you paid for a Linode box, you've got a 1 gig Linode to host WordPress on, or whatever. Even if you've got something basic, you have to be an artist and you have to be a curator as well. And you're consistently making sure as little or as much as you loaded onto the site is running and is updated and is secure. Because a big thing is security, and you need to make sure that, an outdated plugin could potentially be a vulnerability on your site. And if you are a larger customer, like an enterprise customer, and your internal IT department isn't updating things, you've got a plugin that is running deprecated code that, people with malicious intent can, use to their advantage. And next thing you know, your entire site's been compromised. Really? But also your database has been compromised as well, which is including things like and you've got a customer login in WooCommerce, and suddenly there's been another email sent out that's got a whole export or a CSV file of all your customers, and suddenly all your customer data has been leaked. Like,
Really?
security is a big thing personally that I like to remind a lot of customers, but a lot of common things I find is just the old 500 error. It's like they updated a plugin, it's not working properly, it's thrown the site, the white screen of death, as a lot of people call it. That is the most common error that we see, and that's no fault of the customer at all. It is just the way the plugin decided to update. It's like, okay, I'm going to update now. Oh, I need X amount of resources, and site's down. So yeah, and it's most of the time it's easy fixes as well. You just you deactivate the plugin, but the customer can't do that because the site's throwing a 500. So what do? You contact your hosting provider and you get them to help you for it, which is fine, which is what we do. But yeah, that's the most common thing I would say is, like, if you are, wanting to make a site on WordPress, you are the artist, like I said, you have to make sure you do all the internal due diligence yourself to make sure that your site is secure and running properly, and all the plugins are updated. And if you're running a store, you make sure everything's optimized correctly, these sorts of things. Like, I came from a Shopify background, like I said, so a lot of the time Shopify does a lot of that for you. But the beauty of WordPress is that all those resources are at your disposal, and it's up to you to use everything properly and performance-wise, make sure everything's running smoothly. And if it isn't, your hosting provider can help you from a server side. But if you've got a metric ton of custom code running, it's your responsibility to make sure your custom stuff is also running correctly as well, and you're not leaving yourself open at the other end for issues.
Right. That's essentially you stay, because I personally have not taken, I guess I should, right? I have not taken security too seriously on WordPress, right? Because we have, our things have been fairly basic. Our things have been, it's not like we don't have any input fields, we don't have really, we have very limited plugins. The plugins that we have are literally like, we have advanced custom fields, and we have WordPress Migrate Pro. Really, that's pretty much it, right? And then we have like a image optimizer, which is pretty popular. And
I think I'm running the same sort of thing on my site as well, which it's popular, it does the job, it's updated, it does the job.
Exactly. I personally have not thought about it too much, and I haven't experienced it. Though, an interesting thing happened one time when I was looking at posts. So when we deployed our website, right? And there was one page that was a post that when you create the WordPress site, it creates a hello world post. Right? That hello world post contained an input box. So next thing you know, I forgot about the hello world post because it was just kind of there. You know what I mean? And for one, why would they make hello world post? Like just don't make a post. Like you know what I mean? And next thing I just see a bunch of like comments. Like I see 1,000 comments on my site. Like, when you go to WordPress admin and you see like the comments on the left side, I see 1,000. I'm like, what are these comments all for? And you see you actually see SQL injections. Like I saw SQL injection. I'm like, what? Like I have never.
That's one of the things we see a lot as well. Like people who just forget that sort of thing's there, and suddenly it's like, hey, why do I have 1,000 comments on a blog? Oh,
and they're all SQL injections trying to delete your whole database. I was honestly. What's up?
No, sorry. I was going to say, like, one of the easiest ways around, like, just fixing that as well, and even if it's not through a post, through a contact form, having a Captcha, just plain and simple. Just having a Captcha, so like bots just can't do their malicious thing and scrape the site, or just someone's got a bot set up to do a SQL injection on the site. A Captcha fixes a lot of these issues, not all of them, but it fixes most of them, especially when it comes to contact form spamming as well. If a bot can't do a human check, which is brilliant, otherwise we'd be stuffed.
And those Captcha have become very smart over the years. Like
very much so.
The Google Captcha, oh my gosh, it's like select the images that contain contain a car. I'm like, what? Yeah, you gotta have a really smart like system to be able to automatically do that. So I don't know how they do that. But yeah, like to me, it's been very interesting to see that, because I've never actually seen a SQL injection being in the process. This was a SQL injection happening in the process. I'm like, hold the phone. At first I was like, wow, that's cool. But then I was like, wait, hold on, this is not good. So
yeah, this is on my end. That's cool, but I gotta stop.
I should probably do something about that. You know what I mean? So yeah,
that's smart.
Right. So yeah, that's very interesting. And so I kind of just want to reiterate, because some of the things that we talked about in terms of WordPress, right? To when you're creating a WordPress site for someone who's a beginner, for someone who's trying to create a WordPress site from the for the first time, I think one of the things, what do we mention? What do we mention that it's very important to look out for? Plugins, right? That's one.
Yep, plugins is one. Ensuring, from my perspective, ensuring that your everything's up to date, everything's humming correctly.
Right.
Another big one is that I see is not paying for more than for what you need, and that's a big thing in terms of if you only expect to make a small site, don't buy a big plan if you're optimistic that you've got all these massive ideas and that'll come. If you only need a small site now, pay for the small site. Work with the small site. If you are having issues in terms of performance on the site, don't be afraid to contact your hosting provider and say, hey, my site is running slow. Can you look at this for me? Because, 9 times out of 10, you're like someone like Flywheel, we can go in behind the scenes and make adjustments to how your site functions in terms of on the instance. And suddenly, you've got 30% better performance out of the site and you're happy, which is excellent.
Right.
Security is another big one. I think, Google Captcha. If you are running a larger site that involves user feedback and comments and these sort of things, just like a cooking blog or anything like that, like food blogs I find are big ones that use Google Captcha because they're requiring consistent customer feedback.
Right.
Google Captcha, hands down, or a Captcha plugin, period. Use it. Love it. Learn it, how it works. Embrace it. It's going to save you a lot of headache.
And I'm guessing Google probably has their own like a Captcha plugin for WordPress, no? Or is that
they do. If you go into plugins, I'm pretty sure. I think it's just Google Captcha. If you just go into the plugins manager and install plugins, it's just Google Captcha. Or just type in Captcha and one of the hits is a Google one. I actually can't remember if it's made by Google or not. It may just use how Google's actual Captcha system.
The API, it might use the API from Google. Yeah,
and it works. I've seen it. I use it myself. Not that that's an endorsement or anything. Honestly, I'm a player, but like it works. And we've seen a lot of customers who don't have them use them, and then a lot of the issues they had before are solved. Another thing I would say is we use SendGrid for our mail, like instance management for mail, like emails that leave the server, contact forms that leave the server. Have your domain whitelisted. Do that from the start so you prevent issues later down the track where emails.
What do you mean by that? To have your domain whitelisted?
So we use
when you set up SendGrid, is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah. When we set up SendGrid, send a message to your hosting provider or whoever uses or whatever they use. If like we use SendGrid, so send a message to Flywheel. So my emails, to avoid my emails aren't being sent from the server issue. Have us whitelist your email straight off the bat, so we know it's whitelisted. So if you do have issues, it helps with troubleshooting further down the track. Little things, so especially if you have a store and you expect customers and you get 1,000 hits a day and they are sending you contact forms, little things just to make the site hum.
Right.
That's all I think. Yeah.
And would you on top of that, would you and then to add to that, obviously I would like to add, keep the amount of plugins that you use. Don't just, a lot of people I see that just kind of install the plugins and they install another one that's similar and install another one that's similar. And then it becomes like a mountain of plugins that you 90% don't use. They're just kind of there taking up space and potentially causing security problems. Right. So that's another big thing like to think about is Keep it limited.
Definitely.
Those plugins are on your site. They have code on your site that's being run, right? So it's very important to kind of limit it to to the ones you trust the most.
Definitely. There is a mantra, less is more, but in terms of WordPress, if you need them, use them. But if you aren't using them, turn them off, uninstall them. Like
Right.
I even made the mistake, like when I had my podcast and I stopped it, I left the podcast management app, the plugin, running on the site. I didn't deactivate it. And then I deactivated it and it was just sitting there and it's not getting updated. It's not doing anything. I don't need it. Uninstall it. It's not needed. Turn it off.
Right.
If you want to optimize images on blog posts, pick one image optimizer, not 4. That would be another good one.
Just do one, man.
Yeah. Oh, one last little recommendation as well. WordPress 5.0, embrace Gutenberg. Enjoy how Gutenberg is far better than the old post management system. From my personal perspective, because I came to WordPress as 5.0 was still in the works and coming from something like Shopify, which has sections, and Squarespace, which is like slide everything everywhere. It's like a frigging jigsaw puzzle and it all works. In Gutenberg is in terms of a page builder and how it all works, it is immensely better than the old how WordPress used to work. So yeah, I would say update to 5.0, embrace Gutenberg, enjoy Gutenberg. It is a lot of people went into making sure it works well and works for the customer. Definitely.
What do you see it working well? Like, how do you see it working well? What do you see like a big
just being able to have different segments. I'm not sure that's the correct term.
The blocks. I think
the blocks, the section. Yeah, the blocks. Yeah, just being able to have. I was going to say sections there because I had Shopify back in my mind. Just to have the block management works. Like being able to make a blog post, say, and you write it in Notability or OneNote or whatever, and being able to copy and paste all that text and an image into the blog posts on WordPress, and then it will auto set up blocks for you, and just being able to move everything around and edit everything. It just creates, in my opinion, a far more streamlined and enjoyable blogging experience out of WordPress, which hasn't seen an update to the old school posting system for a while. This is, for me, starting on the support side of things, coming from older versions of, 4.6, 4.7, 4.9, and then into 5.0, it's a massive, massive difference. I would say learn how to use Gutenberg if you don't already. Change is good. Embrace change.
That is the hardest thing for everybody. I feel like, trying to embrace change, trying to change anything. I have been trying to change some things on a couple of projects and getting a lot of pushback, which is, I get it. It's fine. Not a lot of people like to change, but sometimes the alternative is not changing, and the alternative is doing the same thing that you're doing before and going the same route. Right. And it's no bueno. Right. So
yeah. And you're going to end up just going in circles, and you want things that are better, but if you aren't willing to change, to adapt and go with the flow of the new way things are going, you're going to end up left behind.
yeah, that's true. So yeah, I'm trying to embrace Gutenberg as well, trying to use the blocks and everything. So I know that, Sam, you probably need, your workday is about to start, right? So you like in 5 minutes or so. So I just kind of want to gauge your, what have you been working on? How have things been? I know you have been, doing a couple of things in terms of, software, in terms of what's it called? Not Angular, React. What have you been getting into? How is it?
It's more the React stuff. I was learning more to understand ES6 JavaScript specifically. I haven't actually built a lot of React stuff personally, but I do have the books and the documentation. It's more to understand how ES6 functions, and it's been immensely helpful because I'm the kind of guy with my JavaScript. I need all the manuals out to really write good code. If I don't have a manual, my JavaScript is poor.
So you're more of a book guy. You like to read the book and understand the book, and then and then use it.
Definitely, yeah. The video. Sorry, go.
What are some interesting books that you find? Do you find to be interesting?
The Collins, sorry, not Collins, the O'Reilly React series is good.
Yeah.
I've got both the Learning React and Learning React Native, which are good. They're a good foundation for anyone wanting to understand ES6 JavaScript and actually build something.
Right.
A lot of what I'm diving into at the minute, though, is a lot of C#. I'm kind of transitioning to a lot of some side projects, a lot of that language as well. I've dabbled in it before. I just wanted to give it a go for a challenge, as well as on my spare time rebuilding my portfolio site as well in WordPress, which has been, again, interesting. That's all really my projects that I'm up to. Nothing too insane, not taking too much on.
Yeah, but learning little by little, that's always very important, right? Just kind of learning.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
never stop learning.
Testing, learning, just like it's all good things.
Yeah. Building, breaking, learning, repeat.
Building, breaking, repairing, all good things, man. I love it, man. That's awesome. Well, Sam, thank you very much for being able to catch up, and thank you very much for accepting and being on the podcast. Honestly, I don't even know what the podcast is called. I'm just kind of talking with people, and then we'll figure out what the podcast.
That's awesome. Thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate Naz for letting me on. At any time you want me to come back, just drop me a line. I'm available.
Man, you're amazing, man. If anyone is interested, you go by the Instagram channel of Sam the Nerd Guy. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep, Sam the Nerd Guy on Instagram and Twitter as well. I'm not really active on Twitter, but mostly Instagram. Yeah, just drop me a line and stuff. My messages are open. So.
For sure. That's awesome, man. All right, I'm very jealous of you being in Australia. I'll have to come visit you someday. But
please do. Our waters are always welcome to you.
Awesome. All right, man. Again, have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, at some point.
Thank you, my friend.
Have a good day. Have a good
Bye.
day, man. Thank you.
Bye.
How do I stop this now?